people that use fiat currency as a store of value, there's a name for them. We call them poor, okay? Anybody that's rich in the world, they own property. They own large swathes of land. The royal family of England, it didn't sell all of its property in central London in order to buy currency or paper money, nor did the royal family of Japan, nor did the royal family in the Middle East. In fact, they want to own the property forever. I want you to imagine Bitcoin it's a city in cyberspace that's 276 blocks wide, 276 blocks high, 276 blocks deep, about 21 million blocks. Now imagine all 8 billion people in the world want to live there one day. They want to put their capital there. There's $900 trillion of wealth in the world. As people migrate from every other form of property and they've assets into cyberspace, you're going to see the Bitcoin network go from $1 trillion network to a 10x that to 100x that. And there really is nowhere else to go. It is the apex property of the human race.
Bitcoin is the highest form of property, the apex property of the world, and it's the best investable asset class. The ultimate endgame is to acquire more Bitcoin. As people migrate from every other form of property into cyberspace, we're going to see the Bitcoin network go from $1 trillion network to 10x and then 100x. That is the clear-cut message out from Michael Saylor. Recently, Michael Saylor spoke on the ongoing trend of people shifting from traditional assets to digital assets, predicting that the Bitcoin's network value could soar from its current $1 trillion valuation to multiples of that driven by this migration. He compares Bitcoin to prime real estate in cyberspace, emphasizing its role as a store of value much like prestigious real estate holdings in major cities. Saylor explains the idea that Bitcoin's purpose is capital preservation, appealing to those seeking to safeguard their wealth over generations. When questioned about the possibility of selling Bitcoin in the future, Saylor reiterated his belief in holding onto Bitcoin indefinitely, citing its superior appreciation potential compared to traditional assets like stocks or real estate. Make sure to stick around to the end of the video where Saylor explains the key factors that will drive Bitcoin's price from 10x to 100x over the coming years. Also guys, only a small percentage of my viewers are actually subscribed. If you enjoy staying up to date with finance content, consider subscribing or liking the video. It's free and you can always change your mind. Now here's why Michael Saylor thinks that Bitcoin is the ultimate endgame for all monetary assets.
Yeah, well, we think Bitcoin is the highest form of property. It's the apex property in the world, and it's the best investment asset. So the end game is to acquire more Bitcoin. Whoever gets the most Bitcoin wins. Well, let's keep in mind the fundamental principle. What's the use case of Bitcoin? It's capital preservation. So if you have $1 billion and you live in South America or you live in Asia or you live in Africa and you want the capital to last for 100 years, you're not going to want to buy $1 billion company or $1 billion building or $1 billion of land in any place in Africa. You're going to have to find some other form of property that you can hold for a long period of time. Let's take New York City. Developers of New York City in 1776 didn't have an end game. They've been raising capital to invest in New York City real estate at the all-time high for 300 years. If you went and talked to them today and you said, what's your end game? They would say, well, we're going to keep investing in New York City. If you've ever talked to a person that owned an apartment in New York City, no one aspires to hold the apartment for a few years, sell the apartment and move out of New York City. They put it in their will, they give it to their children. And if you ask them why, they say there's no better place on earth to live than New York. There is no place up from there. So New York City is the end game for people that want to live in the greatest city in North America. Bitcoin is the end game for anybody that wants to own the greatest property in the 21st century. We believe that the highest, best use of capital is to buy Bitcoin and hold the Bitcoin. The Bitcoin is going to appreciate in value faster than the S&P index. It's going to appreciate in value faster than commercial real estate. And so there's no point in selling the winner to buy the losers. And Bitcoin is the winner. And so we're just going to keep acquiring Bitcoin with our cash flows, with equity or capital raises, any other accretive method that comes to mind. Right now, an institutional investor that wants to buy Bitcoin has a choice of investing in the ETFs, of which BlackRock and Fidelity are very well known, or investing in some other company that has a Bitcoin strategy like MicroStrategy. You could think of the ETFs like ocean-going container ships. They can carry huge amounts of capital. You can invest $1 billion a day in the BlackRock ETF. They could take on hundreds of billions of dollars of capital. They're not going to trade at a premium. But what they don't have is performance and leverage. MicroStrategy is different because our capital you can't redeem our shares. So it's possible for our shares to trade at a premium. We're an operating company, and that means when our shares trade at a premium, we can either raise capital through convertible debt or through equity. When we do that, we're doing it at a premium to the underlying assets. That captures an accretion for our underlying shareholders. So following a debt deal where we swap the debt for Bitcoin, our common stock shareholders have more Bitcoin per share than they did before the deal. So another way to say that is, if you want to pay 25 basis points and be 1-to-1 levered, then you would buy the ETF. But if you actually want to generate an accretion or a yield and not pay the fee and have leverage, then you would buy a stock like MicroStrategy. You could think of us as we're like air freight. We're Federal Express. We can take you faster, but we're never going to carry the same amount of capital in our payload as a supertanker or a container ship. So there's place for both of those strategies. And in fact, they're very complementary. I think the ETFs benefit from the existence of companies like MicroStrategy, and MicroStrategy benefits from the existence of the ETFs. Well, you can see, if you look at our past, there have been periods during the crypto winter when Bitcoin went from 66,000 all the way down to 16,000. In that case, we simply hold the Bitcoin. Instead of being 20% levered, we become 40% or 60% levered. The way that we raise the capital is using convertible debt. And so the convertible debt is a unsecured instrument. It's not marked to market. It doesn't come due except in 4, 5, or 6 years from the point that we issued it. And it's not secured against any other kind of capital. So we don't have to actually do anything. We just wait for the market to recover. And that's what we did in 22. And in 23, we recovered, and our shareholders benefited from the deleveraging as Bitcoin rallied in the other direction.
So there's Michael Saylor with his firm conviction in Bitcoin supremacy as the ultimate form of property and investment asset. His analysis explains the evolving dynamics of wealth preservation and accumulation in the digital age. Saylor's analogy of Bitcoin as prime real estate in cyberspace resonates with the growing number of individuals and institutions seeking to secure their financial futures. His commitment to accumulating Bitcoin shows a belief in its enduring value proposition and transformative potential. As Saylor navigates the complexities of MicroStrategy's capital structure and premium valuation, he remains steadfast in its vision of leveraging Bitcoin to enhance shareholder value. Before we go, a quick reminder for those who are keen on staying updated in the fast-paced world of crypto and Bitcoin, consider subscribing to our daily 5-minute crypto newsletter. It's a concise resource for the latest expert predictions, breaking news, and top on-chain analysis trusted by over 50,000 subscribers for insightful crypto investment information. Click the first link in the description to join our community and elevate your crypto investment knowledge today. Anyway guys, hope you all enjoyed today's video and that provided you with some value. I'll see you all in the next one, and as always, all the best.